I'm Kendra Cook, your host for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado. The Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV with support from the Southwest Colorado TV Translator Association. That's the special district association responsible for bringing the area free-to-access TV stations over the air by antenna. This is a community TV station, so if there is a news story or event information that you would like to share, you can call us. The number is 970-677-4119. And if you're a business or organization, we welcome you to find out about sponsorship opportunities for banners or video segments run on the channel. This is the Wednesday program for June 17th, 2020, DCTV Daily News. First off, our fire updates. Unfortunately, though some have been contained, others continue to burn, and we even had a new fire start up yesterday in the region. The East Canyon fire near Mancos, as reported by the Journal, with photos by Jem Boone and Jerry McBride. With no chance for precipitation in southwest Colorado in sight, firefighters working to contain the East Canyon fire west of Durango are bracing for what could be a long battle. Pam Wilson, a spokeswoman for the Bureau of Land Management, said late on Tuesday that the fire burning along the La Plata-Montezuma County line was just 5% contained. The last estimate of the size of the fire was 8 p.m. on Monday, which showed it had consumed about 2,700 acres. Because of the transition from a Type 3 team to a Type 2 team Tuesday, a new estimate had not been conducted, Wilson said. The East Canyon fire broke out on Sunday after a thunderstorm passed through southwest Colorado on Saturday, and the past few days have been hot, dry, and windy, causing the fire to grow significantly. On Tuesday, however, fire behavior was more moderate than expected, Wilson said. U.S. Highway 160 between Durango and Mancos had closed on Monday because smoke caused visibility issues, but the road was able to be reopened on Tuesday later on. Wilson said that fire behavior will dictate whether the highway will be closed on Wednesday. The National Weather Service has issued a red flag warning on Wednesday for southwest Colorado for the third consecutive day, calling for temperatures in the 80s, wind gusts as high as 30, and no chance of rain. Because the Type 2 team was expected to take over command at 8 p.m. on Tuesday, Wilson did not have details about what the plan would be for working to contain the East Canyon fire on Wednesday. A handful of residents remained under mandatory evacuation as of Tuesday evening, said Vicki Schaefer, spokeswoman for Montezuma County. Areas north and south of Highway 160 from the top of Mancos Hill to the Target Tree Campground are under evacuation orders. Both sides of the highway from Target Tree Campground to mile marker 66, about 3 miles east of the Highway 160, Cherry Creek Road, County Road 105 intersection, are under pre-evacuation notice. As of Tuesday, about 23 homes on the Montezuma County side and another 15 or so homes on the La Plata County side had been evacuated. Schaefer said about 51 people have checked in with the Mancos Fire Station for registration. Quote, "Most people are finding their own places to stay," she said, but the Red Cross is available for those that need help. Robert Dalton, who lives in East Canyon, said he had been given plenty of time to evacuate from his home. Quote, "All is good. We're camping out in the forest," he said. Dalton said he went through the same process with the Weber fire 8 years ago when he evacuated for about 10 days. Quote, "My house didn't burn. Thank the Lord for that," Dalton said. Philip Walters also recalled the 10-day evacuation during the Weber fire, an experience that helped him prepare for the most recent evacuation, taking steps like packing a to-go bag, turning off propane, opening flammable drapes, and making sure hazards are removed in case firefighters need to enter. Quote, "Rehearsing is a good idea for everybody," Walters said. Philip Russell and his wife, Mayan, were returning from the grocery store on Sunday in Mancos when they saw a plume of smoke in their neighborhood. Within 2 hours, the couple had rounded up their 8 cats and 3 dogs, packed up some essentials, and hit the road. Quote, "We were both kind of numb," Philip Russell said. On our way out, emergency vehicles were pouring in. The Russells moved into the garage of a relative in Mancos, where they are sleeping on an air mattress and watching Netflix on a small television. Quote, "We're staying hopeful and feel pretty confident. Our home is in a good location. You can see there is a lot of slurry being dropped to protect the neighborhood," he said. The BLM's Wilson said there is no estimated time frame for when residents may return. Wilson said residents in the region have been preparing for years for a wildfire, giving fire crews a leg up to protect the homes. And another advantage is that emergency responders have been stationed in the region for weeks. As of Tuesday, no homes or structures had been destroyed, and there had been no reported injuries. Despite fires breaking out across southwest Colorado, Wilson said there should be enough resources in the region to handle the load. On Tuesday, another fire broke out near Bondad, which required air tankers to be diverted. Quote, "The fire managers down here have been planning for this," she said. Because of the drought and COVID-19, they requested severity funding, which allows them to bring in extra resources. 50 firefighters with air support were fighting the Loading Pen fire, located 17 miles northeast of Dolores in the San Juan National Forest, and additional crews had been ordered. The fire was burning on the steep flanks of Hay Camp Mesa above the Dolores River, and by Monday night, the fire had grown to 35 acres. "We are working on containment lines, and there will be additional aviation dropping retardant today to stop the spread," said Pat Seekins, fire management officer for the San Juan National Forest. "We are feeling optimistic." An air quality health advisory remains in effect today until 9 a.m. on Thursday for communities throughout southwest Colorado, including La Plata, San Juan, Ouray, and parts of Montezuma County. The advisory also applies to the eastern parts of Dolores and San Miguel counties, which may be affected by the Loading Pen fire. If smoke becomes thick, people are advised to stay indoors, especially those with heart or respiratory disease, young children, and senior citizens. So over at the Loading Pen fire near Dolores, according to a press release issued today by the San Juan Forest Service, firefighters are working to complete control lines on Loading Pen fire. Working against strong winds on steep terrain, firefighters made progress establishing control lines around the Loading Pen fire on Tuesday. The fire is burning east of Colorado, Highway 145, about 17 miles northeast of Dolores. Its size is estimated around 35 acres with 0% containment. It was started by lightning last Saturday. Supported by helicopters making water drops, hotshot crews and other firefighters are working to build fire lines from a meadow along the Dolores River up to the top of the canyon rim. Quote, "This fire has continued to be active even through the last couple of nights," says Incident Commander Brad Pietruska, "but the crews have done an excellent job trying to get around it." Contingency plans are also being developed should the fire escape the current lines. Over 50 people are now working the fire, which is visible from Highway 145 between Dolores and Rico. Travelers should not stop to watch the fire or firefighting activities because the highway is narrow and winding, and exiting or entering the highway in that area poses a traffic hazard. And another fire ignited Tuesday, as we spoke of earlier, in the afternoon, southwest Colorado, estimated at 75 acres, and that's near Bondad. The Durango Herald reports that the Durango Fire Protection District Chief Hal Dowdy said Tuesday afternoon that the new fire, called the Six-Shooter Fire, was reported near County Road 310 near Bondad across from the landfill. Lindsay J. Box, communications specialist with the Southern Ute Indian Tribe, said that the blaze was reported about 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday on tribal land, and by 7 p.m. it was listed at 75 acres with 0% containment. The Bureau of Indian Affairs, Southern Ute Agency Fire Management, and Los Pinos Fire Protection District were responding. Resources allocated to the blaze included one large air tanker and a single-engine air tanker, Box said. The fire was moving north and large plumes of smoke were visible in the area, Dowdy said. Air and ground crews began their response shortly before 4 p.m. "The fortunate thing right now is that we have a lot of air resources right in the area," Dowdy said, referring to firefighting crews working that East Canyon fire burning along the La Plata-Montezuma County line. A Type 3 fire incident team will take control of the fire, and Dowdy said he expected the fire to burn for at least a couple of days. Dowdy said that roads in the area are being closed for safety and to allow for firefighting operations. The cause of the fire was unknown on Tuesday, and Southern Ute tribal authorities are coordinating with local agencies to ensure public safety and to minimize the impact of the fire, Box said. The tribe is also working with oil and gas operators in the area to shut off facilities near the fire. A red flag warning again is in effect through today, Wednesday, as hot and dry conditions persist across the region, with wind gusts up to 45 miles an hour possible, according to the National Weather Service. Stage 1 fire restrictions are in effect on the Southern Ute Indian Reservation. Those restrictions ban open burning, including burning of trash or yard waste, agricultural burning, debris burning, including prescribed burns, and weed burning, campfires outside of designated or developed campsites, Restrictions do not include charcoal fires in suitable barbecue grills, fireworks, either their possession or use. This is also true for Dolores County, as an open fire ban was initiated on Monday, June 15th. And as with all of these types of incidents, again, if you are non-essential to the tasks at hand, please stay out of the area to allow for emergency vehicles and personnel to do their jobs quickly and efficiently. And now let's take a look at that local weather with no rains in sight. Today, areas of smoke still persist from all of the fires in the area. Otherwise, a sunny day is on tap with a high near 81 degrees. Still breezy, dang it, with a southwest wind 15 to 20 miles an hour and gusts as high as 30. Tonight, areas of smoke continue through the night, mostly clear skies with a low around 46 degrees. Again, those winds remain in place from the southwest at 15 to 20 miles an hour, calming down overnight. For Thursday, sunny and a bit cooler as the winds shift out of the north, with a high near 77 degrees. By afternoon, light winds shift back from the southwest. Then Thursday night, partly cloudy and a low around 49 degrees. Into Friday, mostly sunny and a high near 79 with light north-northeast winds to 10 miles an hour, becoming west in the morning. Friday, we could see some more gusts up to 20 miles an hour, with Friday night mostly clear and a low around 48 degrees. And for the weekend, finally, welcome to summer, with the solstice typically calculated on the 21st, the longest Sunday of the year. On Saturday, we start off with sunny and a high near 83 degrees, with Saturday night mostly clear and a low around 52. And for Sunday, heating up on Father's Day, sunny with a high near 87 degrees or more. Sunday night mostly clear with a low around 54. And into the work week, Monday, as summer kicks off, hot again on Monday, sunny with a high near 89 degrees. Monday night mostly clear and a low around 56. And now back to the news. Durango feels the fear factor and responds with indefinite mandates for wearing facial masks, face coverings, specifically over your mouth and nose, and regardless of what type of masquerade, one is mandated to wear something in the theory of keeping more people healthy. The Durango Herald reports that the city of Durango will extend its mandatory face covering order indefinitely in response to the coronavirus pandemic. Durango City Council voted unanimously on Tuesday to extend the order, which had been scheduled to end on Friday. Face coverings have been hotly debated locally and nationally. Councilors made the decision after considering public input, business needs, tourism concerns, and the most recent research available about the benefits or lack thereof of wearing face masks. Quote, "We want our residents to get out and feel safe in our downtown and in our restaurants and in our stores," Councilor Melissa Youssef said at Tuesday's regular City Council meeting. Quote, "To stop now would be premature. I think it's working." Again, so she thinks it's working. About 380 people weighed in on the issue, either through email, online public comments, or the meeting's public comment period. The majority, 303 digital and public comment responses, were in favor of extending the mandatory mask order. That's in a city of roughly 16,800 population. The Durango Chamber of Commerce Board unanimously voted to support extending the order, and Tim Walsworth, executive director of the Durango Business Improvement District, also supported continuing current measures, according to an email he sent to the city staff. The chamber cited several reasons for its support, including masks help protect vulnerable populations. Businesses can cite the city order in requiring customers to wear masks. That's probably the most honest point to support the action, in my opinion. And health officials advise using masks as more people begin to congregate in groups. The chamber said most customers are accommodating the small inconvenience. City councilors cited safety concerns, prioritizing tourism and the recreation-based economy, scientific research, and information from health experts among their reasons for supporting this extension. Mercy Regional Medical Center currently has intensive care unit and ventilator capacity to manage COVID-19 related health care needs, said Mike Murphy, CEO of the hospital. Quote, "The current interventions have been effective in reducing our rate of growth," he said, referring to local COVID-19 cases. Leanne Jolin, executive director of San Juan Basin Public Health, said new research continues to support wearing face masks and that the masks might also be necessary in response to wildfire season. All that smoke in the air. "It's going to continue to take all of us working together to keep our curve flat," Jolin said. So, the 2020 saga of covering one's face or not in the name of public health is a long way from being what we were told was just a short-term fix to help stave off a run on our hospitals. It's turning out to be a longer-term problem. As Cloward and Piven strategy says, there is a problem, reaction, and solution. And in this case, you'll want to research how this manipulation of our populations in regard to the fear of the pandemic has set up for the first two steps, leading to the final solution that those with power are pushing us towards. What better symbolic gesture, at the very least, than to stifle a population by covering their faces, when the coverings aren't medical in nature, as we must save those for the hospital workers and first-line responders. And even more ironic is that those PPE mostly come from China, where this alleged coronavirus also originated. Just some food for thought on a Wednesday. Do your own research and, as a responsible individual, make up your own mind as to what's happening. That's, my friends, what it used to be a freedom of being an American. Speaking of freedoms, there's the Second Amendment, which may become even more critical in the upcoming years. Colorado Outdoor Magazine wrote an article on the impacts of shooting ranges and how the CPW is allowing grant monies to enhance and expand ranges across the state. Colorado Parks and Wildlife has awarded $725,000 to 9 shooting ranges across Colorado through the agency's Shooting Range Development Grant Program, SRDG. The funds will go towards developing new shooting ranges and to upgrade existing ranges. SRDG supports the establishment, improvement, and expansion of safe shooting facilities in Colorado and is one of the largest shooting range programs in the nation. Since 2010, SRDG has awarded more than $4.8 million in funding to more than 70 shooting and archery projects across Colorado. The program's funds come from federal excise taxes generated by the sale of hunting and shooting equipment, in addition to funds generated by license fees. Local partners in the projects also commit at least 25% in matching funds for the work. Each year, SRDG maximizes its impact by providing matching grants to towns, counties, outdoor recreation organizations, shooting clubs, parks and recreation departments, and others. These projects establish, improve, or expand shooting ranges and shooting areas, including archery ranges, throughout the state. The 9 projects approved for funding this year included more than $257,000 in local matching funds. CPW's SRDG coordinator Jim Guthrie said, quote, "We're investing sportsmen's dollars into shooting ranges facilities, plus really leveraging those dollars. And with Colorado's growing population, demand for safe, accessible ranges continues to rise. The SRDG program is a major tool in helping to meet that demand." Guthrie said that there are some particularly noteworthy projects funded this year, including the Boulder Rifle Club's addition of a major public shooting range in the greater Denver metro area, and a new Healy's range in Delta, and the expansion of a heavily used public archery range in Windsor. Shooting sports make an economic impact. In the United States, the economic impact of the sporting arms and ammunition industry totals more than $42 billion and creates more than 263,000 jobs. The Pittman-Robertson excise tax manufacturers pay on the products they sell is a major source of wildlife conservation funding in Colorado and nationwide. Colorado Parks and Wildlife also directs a portion of its Pittman-Robertson funding to the shooting range program. Perhaps this would be a good project for Dove Creek and Dolores County for our future. And as published in the Cortez Journal, a photo by the statues of the statues in New Mexico by Susan Montoya Bryan from the AP. A man was shot on Monday night as protesters in New Mexico's largest city tried to tear down a bronze statue of a Spanish conquistador outside the Albuquerque Museum, prompting the city to announce that the statue would be removed until officials determined the next steps. The man was taken to a hospital, but his condition was not immediately known, said Albuquerque police spokesperson Gilbert Gallegos. A confrontation erupted between protesters and a group of armed men who were trying to protect the statue of Juan de Oñate before protesters wrapped a chain around it and began tugging on it while chanting, quote, "Tear it down." One protester repeatedly swung a pickaxe at the base of the statue. Moments later, a few gunshots could be heard down the street and people started yelling that someone had been shot. Gallegos said police used tear gas and flashbangs to protect the officers and detain those individuals involved in the shooting. He said that they were disarmed and taken into custody for questioning as police worked to secure the scene. He said detectives will be investigating, but he did not immediately release any other information. The shooting tonight was a tragic, outrageous, and unacceptable act of violence, and it has no place in our city, Mayor Tim Keller said in his statement. Our diverse community will not be deterred by acts meant to divide or silence us. Our hearts go out to the victim, his family, and witnesses whose lives were needlessly threatened tonight. This sculpture has now become an urgent matter of public safety. The violence came just hours after activists in northern New Mexico celebrated the removal of another likeness of Oñate that was on public display at a cultural center in the community of Alcalde. Rio Arriba County officials removed it to safeguard it from possible damage and to avoid civil unrest ahead of a scheduled protest. A forklift pried the massive bronze statue of Oñate on horseback from a concrete pedestal. Cheers erupted among bystanders who saw the memorial as an affront to indigenous people and an obstacle to greater racial harmony, though several people also arrived to defend the tribute to Oñate. County Manager Thomas Campos said that the statue was placed in storage for its own protection. He expects the 3-member county commission to solicit public comment on what to do next with the public works project commissioned by the state in the early 1990s. Quote, "This is public property and I'm not going to allow it to be damaged," Campos said. "Plus, I don't feel like risking my sheriff's deputies or state police to defend it." The Oñate statues have been a source of criticism for decades. Oñate, who arrived in present-day New Mexico in 1598, is celebrated as a cultural father figure in the communities along the upper Rio Grande that trace their ancestry to Spanish settlers. But he's also reviled for his brutality. To Native Americans, Oñate is known for having ordered the right feet cut off of 24 captive tribal warriors that was precipitated by the killing of Oñate's nephew. In 1998, someone sawed the right foot off the statue, an incident that weighed in the decision to stash away the statue. Luis Peña of Española, an artist and computer network engineer, started a public petition last week to remove the statue in Alcalde. He said he was heartened to see it taken off display. "It's about time," he said. "I think people are finding their voices. They can enact change and start the process of picking up all this trash that has been lying around for decades." Quote, removal of the statue was followed by a few heated roadside discussions about local colonial history under the gaze of a half-dozen sheriff deputies from Rio Arriba County. Tony Valerio, age 65, rushed to the site after a neighbor alerted him that statue was being taken down. Quote, "He's my hero. He brought a lot of good things to New Mexico," Valerio said of Oñate. "What's next, the Statue of Liberty?" Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, who has campaigned on her heritage as a 12th-generation New Mexican, called the statue's removal a step in the right direction in a Twitter post. By Monday evening, dozens had joined a celebratory gathering with Native American dancing and drumming outside of the cultural center, where demonstrators left handprints in red paint on the empty statue pedestal. Meanwhile, the scene in Albuquerque turned into chaos as people ran for cover following the gunfire. Police in riot gear could be seen taking at least 2 people into custody. Monuments to European conquerors and colonists around the world are being pulled down amid an intense re-examination of racial injustices in the wake of George Floyd's death at the hands of police. At least that's the mainstream media's message. Albuquerque city officials have promised to convene a council of community leaders and artists to consider the concerns about the public art piece as they look for, quote, creative solutions. Titled La Jornada, the sculpture depicts Oñate leading a group of Spanish settlers to what was then the northernmost province of New Spain in 1598. The collection of statues includes an indigenous guide, a priest, women settlers, and soldiers. The names of the families who accompanied Oñate are listed on plaques below as part of the Wall of Spanish Ancestral Heritage. Recent calls for altering La Jornada remind us that works of art often challenge communities to debate ideas, pursue empathy, grapple with multiple perspectives, reconcile conflict, and interrogate history, said Shelley Sanchez, head of the city's Cultural Services Department. Cultural differences is what America in particular was all about, the mingling and merging into a whole melting pot concept. Apparently that hasn't worked. What do you think about maintaining traditions and respect of one's heritage while moving forward together towards the same goals that were put forth in the forming of this nation as it was in 1776? The responses will vary greatly, dependent on the emotional ties and predictive programming combined. Is the question about art? Is the question about anger? Is it a question of freedom of expression and freedom of speech? Is this a question of overturning a nation's political system? These are all interesting questions with not a lot of good answers, but most people may still agree that the answer is not violence and destruction. But you wouldn't know that by watching the mainstream news these days, right? As Rodney King once famously said, "Can't we all just get along?" Of course, that was in the middle of a riotous Los Angeles back in 1992. Years change, but yet we see the same things over and over. And these types of stories and more are linked up and shared on our Facebook page, which is DCTV Daily News, where you can watch the program replay along with the news links and stories of local interest. And you too can share other events or news there and join in on the conversation. Again, this is your local community TV station, so if you have something you'd like to share, contact us. The email is dcbnnews@gmail.com, or you can call the station at 970-677-4119. Thanks for tuning in to DCTV Daily News. Programs are broadcast Monday through Friday with replays online on our YouTube channel or DCTV Daily News page on Facebook. And if you like the program, please do like and follow us on Facebook and share it with your friends and family. This has been a production of DCTV for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado, USA. I'm Kendra Cook. Again, thank you for watching.